You know that feeling when you are standing in a queue at the corner shop and the bloke in front of you is doing that thing where he buys a scratch card, scratches it right there at the counter, loses, and then immediately buys another one? And you are standing there, carrier bag cutting into your fingers, watching him scratch away with a 2p coin, and something in you thinks, yeah, fair enough, I'd probably do the same. That right there, that is where it starts. Not in a casino, not at some high-stakes table surrounded by men in suits. It starts at a corner shop counter with a scratch card and a 2p coin and the completely reasonable thought that maybe this one will be different. My name is John. I am a bloke in my mid-40s, husband, father of 2 boys who are currently at the age where everything I say is either embarrassing or irrelevant. I started this channel because I kept noticing things, patterns in my own life. Choices I made or didn't make, habits I picked up without noticing. And I thought, if I can get any of this across to my boys before they have to learn it the long way, that is worth something. This one feels important because gambling does not announce itself as a problem. It arrives looking like a laugh. Right, so it usually starts as nothing. A football accumulator with your mates. 5 teams, £6, Sunday afternoon with a beer. Completely harmless. Or a casino app someone sends you a link to because they got a free £10 bet and they are passing it on because that is just being generous, isn't it? Or it is the Grand National and everyone in the office is putting in a fiver and it would be weird not to. None of this feels like gambling, not really. It feels like participation, like being a normal adult who has a bit of fun with money occasionally. And that, genuinely, is the cleverest thing about it. Because betting companies have spent an extraordinary amount of time and money making sure that it feels exactly like that. They are not your friends offering you an opportunity. They are businesses, serious ones, with offices full of mathematicians and behavioral psychologists and UX designers whose entire job is to keep your finger on that button. The apps are built so you can place a bet in about 4 seconds. 4 seconds. They are not making that easy by accident. Every near miss, the slot that almost lined up, the accumulator that fell apart on the last game, every single one of those is engineered. Not to give you a win, to make you feel like you nearly won. Which, it turns out, your brain responds to almost identically to actually winning. The dopamine does not wait for the result. It arrives with the possibility. And here is the thing nobody really says out loud. If gambling companies lost money, they would not exist. They have been in business for a very long time. That is not a coincidence. The house edge is not a myth or a rumour put around by boring people. It is mathematics. It is baked in. You can win on any given day, absolutely. But over time, the money flows in one direction. And it is not towards you. I was never a serious gambler. I want to be honest about that because I'm not going to pretend I have some dramatic, cautionary tale involving a debt and a borrowed car and a very understanding wife. It was smaller than that. Fruit machines mostly, when I was in my 20s. Standing in a pub with a pint I could barely afford, feeding 50p pieces into a machine in the corner, convinced that I had worked out the pattern. The pattern. I genuinely believed there was a pattern. I would stand there watching it for a few minutes before playing, as if I was some sort of fruit machine analyst, as if this was research. What I actually was a 23-year-old standing in a pub on a Tuesday afternoon, 40 quid lighter by the end of the month, and slightly stressed in a way I could not quite name. That low-level stress is worth talking about, because people think about gambling losses in terms of the money. And yes, the money matters, but the thing nobody accounts for is everything else it takes. The mental space it occupies, the checking your balance and feeling slightly sick, the small secrecy of not mentioning what you spent, the time spent watching matches you do not care about because you have got a bet on. Gambling is not just money leaving your wallet, it is attention leaving your life. And attention is finite.
The wins are the other problem.
Because they are real. That is not nothing. You do sometimes win, and the brain files that away in enormous, vivid detail. The accumulator that came in, the horse that romped home, the scratch card with the tenner. Those memories are crisp and warm, and they stay. The losses, which were more frequent and collectively much larger, somehow blur. They become a vague, general sense of it not quite working out, rather than a clear ledger of exactly how much went in and never came back. Chasing a loss feels nothing like chasing a loss. It feels like correcting an injustice. One more bet, get back to level, then stop. Except level keeps moving. Picture two blokes, same age, same starting point. One of them has a small, regular gambling habit. Nothing wild, just the accumulators, a few bets a week, 20 quid here, 30 there. Always going to stop when he is up. Always one good run away from it clicking into place. His relationship with money is emotional. It has highs, genuine highs, and then stretches of quiet frustration he does not talk about much.
The other bloke takes that same money, same amount, puts it somewhere boring. An index fund, a savings account, something that grows slowly and steadily and gives him absolutely nothing to talk about at the pub. No story, no drama, just a number that gets slightly larger every year, compounding quietly in the background while he gets on with his life. After 10 years, one of those men is calmer. Not rich, not retired at 40, just calmer. He has got a foundation that does not wobble. The other one is still one good weekend away from sorting himself out. And I do not say this to judge anyone who gambles, because I understand why people do. If you feel behind, financially, like the normal path is not going to get you there, like the sensible slow route is fine in theory, but you are already 40 and it is already late and you just need something to go right, the appeal of a shortcut is completely human. It is not stupidity. It is desperation dressed up as optimism. The lottery does not sell you a ticket. It sells you a week of imagining. And for some people, that week of imagining is the only moment they feel like things could actually change. That is genuinely sad.
And the companies selling that feeling know it. But a shortcut built on randomness is not a shortcut. It's just a detour that costs money. Real stability, the kind you can actually stand on, the kind that means you are not checking your phone with your stomach already clenched, that comes slowly. It comes from the same direction it always has. Small, consistent effort, over time, in the right direction. Which sounds deeply boring, and is, and also works. If I could give my boys anything on this, it would not be a lecture. It would just be this. The gambling industry is selling hope to people who already have something worth protecting. Every pound that goes in is not just a pound. It is a small piece of your future and your calm and your family's foundation, walking out the door for a bit of excitement that was never really going to last. Build something instead. Anything. It does not have to be grand. It just has to be real. Because a man standing on something solid, something he built himself, quietly, over years, without drama, that man has something that cannot be lost on the last game of an accumulator. That is what I want for them.